No, dead. They're all dead.
Mamma mia!
The following views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the producers, hosts, and or guests of the Bitter Marks podcast. We assume no responsibility for any errors or omissions in the content provided.
Listener discretion is advised.
Bitter Marks! Bitter Marks! What's up, smooth babies? Welcome to Bitter Marks. It's your favorite non-wrestling wrestling podcast coming to you every single Friday morning at bittermarks.com or wherever you get your podcast from. That is, of course, the audio way to listen to it. If you want to watch it in video for some reason, well, there's an even better way to do it. It's head on over to our YouTube page. Now, do we have an easy way for you to get to our YouTube page? No, we do not. Is it hard for me to remember what I'm trying to say while there's two Rene Dupree gifs going on? Yeah, you bet your bippy. But head on over to our YouTube page. You know, go into the search bar, search Bitter Marks Podcast. We will pop up. Subscribe, get the notifications, do all that stuff. Honestly, I don't even care if you don't listen to us after you subscribe. I just want your statistics. That's all I want. I want to get to 100 subscribers. So, all right, I'm kidding. I would like you to listen as well. Please do that. But that is the best way to watch us, and you can do that live at 9:05. That's every Tuesday p.m. Central Standard Time. That's when we record the thing live. You can join us in the chat. You can ask us questions live, or you can reach us the old-fashioned way via email, bittermarks@gmail.com. Now, we do work like the post office. You will see later today we're going to be answering a couple emails that are a couple weeks old. That's just how slow we move, and sometimes we forget to check the email box. So we apologize in advance. But those are the two ways you can join the show. Anyway, I'm your host. My name is Sasha. A lot of Serbian terrorist threats going on, I believe, in the chat right now. You might want to head on over there and check that out. But anyway, I'm joined by my dear friend. He is indie ref extraordinaire. He's Earl Hebner on the streets and Lil Nate in the sheets. It's Peewee.
What an intro. That was a good one. I like that.
Thank you.
Oh, did you think I was going to forget about your request to include the two Rene Dupree gifts?
You know, you're normally good at that stuff. Like, you have a bad memory if I ask you, like, where were we 2 weeks ago?
True.
But if I ask you, like, a specific request, you're pretty good at
I appreciate that. Okay.
And I do remember, like, earlier today, I was going to text you and be like, don't forget. But I was like, let's see. Let's see how good this guy really is.
I see. You put me to a test. I wish I would have switched them. I wish I would have put the one that had was covering me over Tony and vice versa. I'm going to put the one of me back up. Both of these gifts are fantastic, but the one that's covering me in the upper right-hand corner, look at the crowd as he's jumping back and forth. They're following along with him. This is fantastic. I also think we lost Sasha. Okay, I'm back. I don't care. Oh boy, we definitely lost Sasha. In my headset, I've got that. Are you there? There you are.
I'm here
Hello?
now. I missed everything you said about Rene Dupree. Can you do it all over again, just for me?
Did you notice in the crowd the people going back and forth?
Oh, that is so awesome. That has to be my relatives.
That is half the chat right there. That's awesome.
Can you imagine if they pushed him and the entire arena was doing
the
that?
whole crowd? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They really missed out on this one. And I got to the point in his career where he was wrestling at ECW, like the new ECW or whatever. And then sadly, I was like, okay, I'm not watching this stuff anymore.
Oh, that's the problem.
He is probably the best thing that happened in wrestling in between 2003 and 2008 or 7 or whatever. I mean, look at this guy.
This is good stuff. The velocity, the sign in the background, that's good stuff. Everything about this is fantastic.
I forget who his tag team partner was.
I don't know.
It was him and somebody else, and they were like the new Quebecers or whatever they were.
Yeah.
And there was an episode of Raw where they were in Quebec or wherever they are from, and they came out to the hugest pop of all time because the people were just like, yes,
Yeah.
they are one of us. And they won the tag titles that night, and the place just exploded. I woke up Megan. It was fantastic.
I'm trying to look it up right now. It was La Resistance that you're talking about.
Yes.
But I don't know who the other guy was in La Resistance.
I do. He was an Ohio Valley guy. He was really, really good. Actually, I think at one point there were 3 La Resistance members.
Whoa. Whoa.
I think it was Rene Dupree and one guy, and then the third guy came in who was just like a regular guy earlier, and then he became
you're right.
French.
Sylvian Grenier. Yep. John in the chat just said it as well as Robert Conway. I do remember.
Yeah, Robert Conway. That's the guy. He's underrated too. I tell you what, he was a big OVW guy. He was like huge over there, but they didn't do too much in the WWE with him. But I thought he was a pretty good wrestler. Anyway,
he didn't need to do anything more than this dance. Look at this guy go.
Yeah,
back
Rene
and
Dupree.
Forth and back and forth. That is good stuff.
For life. Peewee, this week it's just me and you. Producer Tony is out. And a part of me, I'm wrong. There he is, floating in the abyss. I wanted to ask someone to guest host with us, but then I figured we would lose about 40% of our YouTube chat.
That's true. Good point.
So I was like, all right, let's just do this, the two of us together. And so I don't know how long this podcast will go, but we do have a story from your weekend, at least one story from you. So I know you like to tell quick, short stories, but I'm hoping
I'm very brief.
You can stretch it out a little bit. I'm just going to keep doing this the entire episode. So I was actually considering yesterday going on Instagram, on our Instagram page. We're almost at 100 followers on Instagram. We're like 96 followers or something.
Okay.
And I wanted to put up a post where I just say, hey, tag who you want to be a guest on our show, and let John in Washington go to work. Let anyone who's on Instagram, me under different accounts, go to work. I was gonna reach out to Lars Fredrickson from Rancid.
I was gonna say that's a dangerous thing to do, but I do like it.
Yeah, I was gonna maybe see Chris Gethard. We can get Chris Gethard on here.
Absolutely.
You know, these guys have nothing going on, so I figured. But of course, I didn't get to that. Sometimes I write this show, and I'm like, man, should we just stop doing this show? Like, I don't know what else that we can possibly do. And then we end up recording the show, right? And then I'm like, yeah, we should definitely stop this. Why do we keep this going every week? But then I realized we have important...
Do you have an answer to that?
Yeah. We have important stuff to get to. My wasp nest situation.
Oh, I don't have the picture up.
That's okay. Guess what? It's still there, and it's growing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do.
Growing, that's trouble.
I don't know what to do with this thing. It's out of control.
Here's an idea. You might want to call Steph. We've had a bird problem the past month and a half. It's probably even been longer than that. We had a bird build a nest on our front door. She hung up one of those decorative wreaths that has either our last name or our first initial of our last name. And about 2 months ago, if not a little bit before, we had a bird start building a nest, and then it laid its eggs in the nest. And during that time, it was very accepting to us. Steph could come up to the nest and take pictures of it, and she would post them on Facebook. She would lift Connor up into so he could see into the nest, and he'd be able to see what was going on. And then the birds hatched, and they flew away. And for 3 days, we had no birds, but we still had the nest. And then the mom came back, and I think she brought the dad with her, and she laid more eggs, and they both got very aggressive. So since then, we cannot go out our front door. Anytime we go out the garage, the birds are swooping down and dive bombing us because they think we're getting close to these new set of eggs. I couldn't mow the lawn. It's also camouflaged in with the wreath. So there was... If you're delivering a package, whether you're the USPS or FedEx or if you're just a neighbor coming over to drop something off this happened, you get right up to the door, press the doorbell, and then birds just fly at you from the door. Terrifying. It's terrifying. So literally the last 3 weeks, it has been terrifying to leave our house and to come home and to get packages off the front step because these birds have been so aggressive. Today, I was mowing the lawn, and Steph noticed that all the birds were out of the nest. They've been leaving like more often. I know you're not supposed to touch the bird nest when they're still living in it. They've been like coming back very sparingly, but had still been there, and they're still like hanging around the house. And as I was mowing the lawn, distracting them, she grabbed the whole wreath and just brought it in the house and threw it in the basement. So I still haven't been down there to see what kind of mess it is, but she was very brave. And if you're looking for somebody to knock out that wasp nest, you might want to call my wife.
Well, here's the problem. If it was on my door, it would be easy. Hattori Hanzo has a great point. We should get BDI to take the wasp nest down, and then he could be our guest next week.
So two birds with one
two
stone.
BDIs with one wasp nest.
I like it.
And John says throw a football at it and run, but I can't. Where it is literally in a spot that like
you would need to call K-Wall for the accuracy.
I would break the what's the thing? The rain spout. What's that?
The gutter,
thing?
yeah.
Gutter? Shutter?
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say shutter, but it's gutter. Yeah, I would absolutely break stuff. And so I've been trying to devise a plan for, I feel like 6 months at this point. And these things are smoking cigarettes. They're just like, they're rude to be around. But it is like also on the second floor, so I don't have to.
Do they bug you at all? Like, do they like come at you at all?
Not yet. But they're getting bigger, and it's scaring me. So more on that next week. I will. Listen, I promise next week, one way or another, we will talk about wasps again.
Looking forward to it.
Big shout out to our dear friend John. He's here with us today. John, I hope you are not in Hawaii while you're doing this.
Agreed. How are you in the chat right now? Please. I don't know if he's back home or not. I just sent him a package to his house this morning. But he had me put it off. Like I found something in a store he was interested in, and I said, "Hey, do you want this?" He said, "Yep." He sent me PayPal to reimburse me, but then said, "Can you hold it until Monday? So then by the time it gets there, I'm home." I was like, "Sure, that's no problem." So I waited until today to ship it off, but that means he's trying to he doesn't want it sitting on his porch. He had just confirmed he is still in Hawaii.
Oh,
amazing.
No, John, what are you doing?
Please go spend some time with your wife. But
anyway, shout out to him because he continued a tradition that this is the only tradition I think that we did not start ourselves. I want to say Hattori Hanzo started this when he brought the Producer Tony T-shirt, the Bittermark T-shirt with Producer Tony's wonderful high school picture, which if you're watching on the YouTube, you're looking at it right there. Hanzo brought that to Eddie Guerrero's
Utah
grave.
Jazz. Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's true.
And he wore it at the Utah Jazz Stadium.
Yeah, that one I obviously remember.
And so John is now, he brought it to Hawaii. You have a picture of that, I want to say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hung it on his hotel balcony that took a picture with Tony's shirt with the Hawaiian sunset in the background. John is confirmed he's currently on the beach tanning, watching us on his phone. That is amazing.
And
is that a new state? Is that a new state?
No, we have Hawaii already. Unfortunately.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We need Alaska. John, what are you doing next week? The funny thing about that picture, right? So I saved it in my phone because I wanted to send it to you for this episode for the YouTube. And then something happened this weekend. Me and my wife went to visit her family that she hasn't seen in 25 years.
Okay.
And we go to see them.
Wow.
And they gave us a couple pictures. And there's so many crazy small world incidents about this entire story with her and her family or whatever. But the craziest thing of all is we found out that her uncle, also her godfather, used to live literally at the house across the street from where I currently live.
Whoa.
That's
crazy.
Exact across the street, except he left here in 1997.
Because his neighbor was insane?
No.
Okay.
But he left. He ended up moving to Boston and all these other places, and then he came back and he lives out here in the suburbs again. But just
I'm sure this is a boring story, but how did that come up?
Great question. Oh, so letters were written, and in the letter that was written, our address was on the letter. And
Oh wow!
he
And
was
he
like,
recognized the street.
yeah,
And
he was like,
wow,
hey, I used to live at, I live at
that's crazy.
640. I used to live at
Don't give me your
639.
address. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And
That's wow. That's nuts.
so we go and we met up with these people. A lot of them live in Chicago, like this whole side of the family or whatever. And they brought pictures for us. And two of the pictures just happened to be um, in front of this house that's across the street from my house. And so these pictures are from 1995, 96, whatever it was. And the house looks different now and blah, blah, blah. And I know the owner now. He's been there for about 20 years. And so yesterday I went over there and I take these two pictures because I want to show him. I think he would get a kick out of seeing his house before he lived there. And I show him the picture and I go, hey, I got something to show you. I have these pictures of your house. And I show him. He takes the phone from me, which was the first thing. And then I go, swipe to your right. And so he swipes to the left. And up comes the producer Tony in Hawaii picture.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what he's thinking. There's a picture of producer Tony there at this hotel room or whatever. And then he quickly went the other way and saw the other pictures of his house.
That's hilarious.
I just thought it was interesting. It came up. And once he handed the phone back to me, I looked to see what picture was there because I didn't know at the time.
Sure.
And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I got to write that in my notes. So. But anyway, big shout out, John. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Shout out our dear friend Ivica at Kim Jong-il-matic. He was in Alaska, didn't listen to us. So we got to earn that listen, I believe.
It'll come. It'll come.
It'll come. Peewee, you had an interesting weekend this week. You back in the business?
Back in the business. That's right.
Let me sit back and enjoy this next half hour. All right? You take over.
Here we go. So I had my second ref experience of post 2012. I was working again for the same promoter that I worked for last month. His name was Dave Hero. He runs GLCW. This was the first show I did last month was an outdoor show. This was another outdoor show. This one was insane. I met up with Ryan Cross and Jeff Luxon, guys I've talked about before. Met at Ryan Cross's place, and once we got there, we still had about a 45-minute drive. So we just got to talking, catching up on random stuff, and then I started asking about the show because obviously I'd never done the show before, but they had. In previous years, they had done it, and they told me that yes, this was another outdoor show. This was a fair show, and it's one of those things where it's like just every city's fest. They have a stage with bands playing the whole time. They have food, they have games, but this one also has wrestling, free wrestling. If you want to come watch the wrestling show, it's a ring that's just in the middle of this fair, and if you want to come watch it, you just come stand over here and come check it out. Which I like doing those kind of shows, but you don't get wrestling fans most of the time. People usually don't come out for the wrestling. They're just there because they're there. Like the fair is the thing to do, and they like, they're just like, okay, the wrestling is the next thing on the itinerary for that show. I don't know why, but I think I mentioned this last week that Val Venus was booked for this show. With this type of show, maybe it did bring in more people. But the draw was very good, but I don't think with a fair show like this that a name is absolutely necessary, right? Would you agree? It just seems like you're getting people who are at the fair and not there for wrestling; they're just there to hang out. And so why pay the extra money to bring in Val Venus?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you can ask the same question about when the Bushwhackers when we drove them to the middle of Wisconsin.
It was the exact same. It was the exact same thing. It might have been the same fair. This show was in Ashepin, Wisconsin, and the Ashepin is a town I'd never heard of. It is middle of nowhere, and literally everyone in the town turned out for this fair. When we got there, we saw a sea of people there. I mean, when it finally became showtime, there were probably between 600 and 700 people standing around the ring watching the show. Yeah, it was a lot of people. It was nuts. Compare this to the other show that I already did where there was, 17 people standing around the ring. This was night and day. Now, again, it wasn't all wrestling fans, so they weren't exactly into it the entire time, but the guys did work very hard, and because of their hard work, it did result in a lot of the people, especially the kids, getting into it. It was very cool. So I did the show. Well, even before then, I get to the show. I say hi to everybody. I say hi to Dave Hero. Just thank him again for the opportunity. And I find out that I'm not reffing the Val Venus match, which is fine. There's another ref on the show. He's been there longer than me. That's no problem. And I start getting ready. Start talking to guys about what we're doing in the show, what I need to know, what spots are there. And then, as I'm in the locker room, somebody says something along the line. I couldn't understand what he said, but like it wasn't a locker room. Like I said, it was an outdoor show. We were in a shed, a long shed, but it was a shed. And the shed had some windows on it that were one way, so we could see out, but the people couldn't see in. And the windows looking out looked into the rest of the fair, and it was just people all walking around. There were dunk tanks that was right outside. There were food courts and whatever. And one of the guys, as I'm standing in the locker room, he looks out the window and he yells, "Guys, I think Bud Strowman is here." And I'm like, who's Bud Strowman? In my head, I was thinking, is that the guy? I know you haven't seen a lot of movies. Have you seen Ferris Bueller?
No. But I did. In the chat, I did come up with a movie last week called Ferris Bueller's Gay Off, where it's God
damn it,
where it's just a gay contest held by Ferris Bueller. But I've never seen the movie, so I don't know if that makes any sense. I just like
that's basically what the movie's about, okay. Right? So I thought Bud Strowman was a reference to a character in the movie, or maybe it was the guy that played Bud Strowman in the movie. I don't know. I don't even know if Bud Strowman is the name. It was like the hot dog guy or something in the chat. If you guys know what I'm talking about, please correct me.
I thought Bud Strowman was that little dog from Bud Light commercials.
Okay, that could be it. Yeah. Or there was another Bud guy on like David Letterman. Maybe I'm thinking of him.
Oh, the old man or something?
Yeah, the old man. Right, exactly. Or in my head, for some reason, I was like, maybe it was a baseball guy. It was either way. I didn't care about it. They said, Bud Strowman's here. And I'm like, the first thing I thought was, what? Who? What? It's obviously nothing I care about. And then like 3 guys go to the window to like look out there like, oh, that's so cool, blah, blah, blah. Okay, maybe they're big baseball fans or Letterman fans or Ferris Bueller fans. And then one guy says, Spuds McKenzie is the Bud Light dog. Thank you, John. And then one guy yells, "Oh, but his beard is shorter. I barely recognized him." So I go over to the window, and I see out the window, it wasn't Bud Strowman. It wasn't Spuds McKenzie. It wasn't the Letterman guy.
It wasn't Spuds McKenzie with a shorter beard.
That's right. I looked out the window. It was Braun Strowman.
Wow, look at those mustaches in front of him.
The whole town is just full of mustaches. I think the guy to his right and left also have mustaches.
Wow, that's really cool, by the way. He is from Wisconsin, so this checks out.
He was like 15. He lived like 15 minutes from this place. If you don't remember, he was in the recent layoffs that they had with Aleister Black and blah. One of the big surprising layoffs that WWE had, and he was just in town on a quote unquote vacation, just hanging out. And he heard that the town is having their town fair. I don't know if he knew there was wrestling or not, but he just came for the fair, and he was hanging out with friends and
came to hang out with Val Venus, probably.
I never saw him and Val talking for a second. Let's see. So then I think that's cool. I wasn't getting like starstruck or anything, but I was still like, okay, that's different. That's for my second show back. That's a different experience that I didn't experience in 10 years of working for Randy and everybody else. A guy who was in WWE, last month is now here. And he's, probably the biggest guy that was on the roster, definitely stands out. And now he's just walking around the fair. So it was just a cool experience. I also learned later, guys would be watching him out the window and they just be kind of like keeping an eye on him. And it became apparent that people were walking up to him and asking him for pictures, and he would just deny them. And he would just send them the opposite way and say, I can't do pictures. At first, I thought this was like a no-compete thing. Like, he can't be seen here. He can't be like doing any media stuff. But then I saw that kids were walking up to him also and asking for pictures. And when it was a kid walking up, the kids would be granted the pictures. he would take pictures with kids, which I thought was very, very cool.
Yeah.
He wasn't wasting the time. Like, imagine if he said yes to every picture this guy could not move 5 feet without somebody talking to him. I felt bad for him at a certain point. So if he's going to stop and he was very friendly. He was talking to anybody that wanted to talk to him. But if he stopped in addition to all that and also took pictures with all the Smart Mark guys, he would have been there all day. It would have ruined his day. He couldn't go out in public if he did that. So I don't know if this is just a normal thing for him, like if he never takes pictures with older guys, but he was refusing pictures with anybody, male or female, that was not a child, which I mean, I can respect that.
Yeah, and one time we were at a bar and we saw a guy come in who was like 6'8", 3 something, just this big, massive dude, and we found out he was on the Jets practice squad.
Okay, yeah.
And that guy was like, I'm not going to say anything because he's a large man. But anyway, everybody in the place wanted to take a picture with that guy just because of his size.
Right.
Imagine this guy. I would think more people know a Braun Strowman than a practice squad NFL player.
And even if you don't know Braun Strowman, when you see other people taking pictures, like people are lining up to take picture with this guy who's not in the wrestling, he's not standing behind the merch table. At this point, Val Venus was standing behind the merch tables that they had set up. The other wrestlers were standing behind merch tables. This guy was not. Braun was just hanging out, walking around, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, what happened? So I'll move on. So the show starts, right? And I do some matches. And it is, let me show you these pictures first. This is my favorite picture of the show. Look at this. Look at this. This is me catching me off guard. I'm walking past them. I'll zoom in right here. Look at this. Look at this look. Whoo! I feel like you could use that as a meme for a ton of different stuff. Just me totally out of position. But then my real favorite picture of the show is this. As far as picture of me.
Oh, because Braun's in.
Because Braun is right between my legs and sitting there. Look, but also as awesome as this picture is on a personal level, think about how cool this is for for Dave Hero, for the show in general.
Yeah. And Braun for the Bitter Marks podcast, for the cover of our episode as well.
There you go. That's going to be perfect. The amount of people that you can cover the faces of on the right and left, absolutely. So Braun could have. He's a huge guy, obviously. He is going to get noticed no matter where he is. He could have just stood in the back. This is like the light side of the crowd. On the opposite side of the ring, that's where all the people were standing. That's where there were 500 people standing. On this side, there was just one set of bleachers. There was a fence behind it, so nobody could stand behind there. On the other side, there was tons of people. So Braun sat on the side that everybody's looking at, whereas he could have just stood in the back behind everybody and tried to just watch from afar. But no, Braun sitting there the entire show. Look at him here.
Wow, Goldberg was also at the show.
That's Ryan Cross. That's the Mountie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Ryan Cross. So this is Braun through the entire show. You can see the people around him are not clapping. The people around, now they were into it, but Braun was into the show and clapping and booing the bad guys and getting on the refs 100% of the show. It was, and his enthusiasm for the show encouraged other people around him and the other people on the other side of the ring to really give, like anytime Braun claps, imagine the sound of his clap. It carries, you know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're listening to our audio podcast, you might want to check out our YouTube page. These are some actually pretty cool pictures.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just showing pictures of Braun clapping in a crowd.
He's wearing a shirt that says Beef King on it, so...
I think here's a better picture of the Beef King picture.
Oh, yeah, I only have 3 of those, so...
This is a great shirt. So this is after all the matches. He stood up from where he was. This is where his bench was. And he just stood up and started taking pictures with anybody that wanted to come by. Here, I'll zoom out for a second. This is the other cool part. Look at his shorts. Look at these shorts.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of blood sport, what are the odds of that? I'm talking about it in the chat.
In the chat?
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to talk to him and ask him about these shorts specifically. Like, I had no other questions for him other than where'd you get the shorts?
Oh, I know where he got the shorts. They actually made the entire like wardrobe, like shirt that matches those shorts. I think there's like a hat with like the graphics on it. I forgot what company it was.
Is it the main like?
It might have even. They might be Chalkline.
Chalkline was
Yeah.
Chalkline was the one I was going to say. Well, either way, I was very pleased to see his shorts and him walking around. Like, look at his just like hangout outfit, his Beef King tank top and his Bloodsport shorts. That is some good stuff right there. So we ended the show, and it went fine. Like I said, there was nothing big on the show. It was just six matches and a dark match. I did 3 of the 6 matches and didn't do the dark match. So I mean, I got my experience in. I got what I was looking to get out of it. I also afterwards, like I said, I didn't ref the Val Venus match, and I really because I didn't ref his match, I had zero interest in getting a picture with Val Venus. I didn't really want to get an autograph either. But Ryan Cross, who runs his own promotion up there, he's brought in Val Venus before, and he had some extra 8x10s. And at the end of the day, he's like, "Hey, I've got an extra Val Venus 8x10. Do you want to get it signed by him?" So I've got a Val Venus 8x10. Had him sign it. Can you see that?
What does it say? I can't see the inscription or whatever, but
he asked who I want it made out to, and I'm like, I don't really need this made out to Peewee or Dan. I got it made out to Mark Bitters.
oh yeah.
This may be an ongoing thing
Yes.
where anytime I work with somebody or anybody says, anytime I don't care about the autograph, just have them sign it to Mark Bitters and we'll start a little collection.
That is fantastic.
I mean, you can do the same thing even when you're going to like indie shows.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. It's not like anybody knows who Mark Bitters is.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask people in the crowd to sign stuff for me.
There you go. So I got the Val Venus autograph, and then I started walking around. They were tearing down the ring. I helped a little bit with that. And then I'm just walking around talking to Ryan Cross, Jeff Luxon, Ryan's kid. I'm talking to Dave Hero. And as I'm walking around, I'm just walking the same direction as Braun. He's just walking right next to me. And I go, at that point, I didn't want to stop him for a picture because I knew the deal. I knew that he wasn't taking pictures for anybody, even though it took everything in my being not to ask him for a picture. Hey man, I was the ref on the show. I know you're not doing pictures, but like, I'm in wrestling too. Can you make an exception for me? For the only selfish reason of being able to post it in this YouTube stream. So I didn't do that, but what I did do is I said, hey Braun, real quick, I don't want to take up too much of your time. My name's Dan. I was a ref on the show today. I just wanted to thank you for your enthusiasm and the participation that you put into the show. I really think it changed the momentum of the show, and it really made the show, I mean, twice as good as it would have been if you weren't there. Having your presence be there with not even with who you are, with just how big you are and the size that you are and how vocal you are and how loud you are. I really think it picked up the show in general, and I was expecting that to be all it was. He turns to me, looks at me, he's like, "Hey man, I very much appreciate that." He explained to me that he had only been to 2 shows. He'd only sat in the crowd for 2 shows before he was in WWE in the back and doing shows.
I was going to say, I bet you he'd never even been to a wrestling show.
Right, exactly. The other shows that he was on was like an NXT show in the crowd and then something else. So he said how important getting that crowd into it would be. He said that when he would do house shows and the crowd would be down, he would literally stick his hands out the curtain and just start his giant clap, and that would get the entire arena behind it. Like he's a big fan of the storytelling and the art of it and making sure that people are involved in it. And I appreciated that. And then the other thing that we talked about was kids. Just how he wasn't taking pictures with anybody except for kids, and how I thought that was cool, and I totally get that. And as we were talking about this, a kid walked up to him and was like, "Bye, Braun, bye," like it just kept saying "Bye, Braun" over and over again. The kid was like 3. It was like I'm just like, dude, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That kid is making my point as we speak. Somebody actually snapped a picture of us talking. So after I was talking to Braun, the other 3 guys, this is Dave Hero on the right, his kid Cal, who's a wrestler for OVW, and then this is Ryan Cross. Then all 4 of us started talking with Braun. And it was just him just talking like philosophy and how he didn't like I don't want to get too much into it as far as telling tales out of school, but
yeah, his opinions and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He told us his opinions on the politics and how, I mean, in short, he just said he didn't like the politics. He likes the storytelling. He likes the wrestling aspect and not the backstage stuff, which I can totally understand. So I just thought I literally talked to him from the start of our one-on-one conversation till the end of this group conversation. It was probably like 8 to 10 minutes. So the fact that he took 8 to 10 minutes, and while we're talking, people are coming up to him for pictures, and he's like, yeah, 1 second, 1 second, and then would turn back to us and would continue talking. He was leading the conversation. It wasn't us like asking him a bunch of questions. He just kept talking and talking and talking. So I think he was interested in talking to the guys who were on the independent show. Just because he'd never been in that environment before, and I think he was, interested in sharing his knowledge that he's gained from being where he was with the guys who were on a lower tier than him, which I thought was very, very cool. The amount of time that he gave us, I was very, very respectful for. So the show itself was awesome. I had a great time at the show, but this Braun experience and the talks that we had was probably the highlight of the weekend for me.
How'd you do? Did you have any like issues or anything come up like the first time when you came back?
No, and I did make sure to ask Hero at the end of it, like, hey man, I know I had an issue last show. I was definitely paying attention this show, wanted to make sure that I was doing everything the right way. And he said everything was fine. He didn't point anything out. I did during the tag match. Tag matches I get more vocal than I do with singles matches. Because I'm usually yelling at the babyface. I treat the babyface like he was a kid in my kindergarten class. The babyface is like, picture him as a kindergartner. Teacher, they're cheating. And I turn to the babyface who's waiting for the tag. Listen, I'm doing my job. Let me do my job. Mind your business. I will. If I see it, I'll get to it. But if I don't see it, it's fine. I didn't see anything. What do you want me to do about it? And meanwhile, he's trying to get in the ring. I'm getting annoyed with him. So I'm showing more emotion and more personality because I'm getting annoyed with him. And the babyface of the match, he was Dustin Jackson of OVW. And afterwards, he's like, yeah, man, I love that personality you were showing. You were getting annoyed with me as the babyface. That frustrates the fans because they're seeing it from Dustin's side and not from the referee's side. And that's the way it should be because they're seeing the whole picture and the referee's not. And it's getting them more frustrated. And then finally, when you build up to that big hot tag and Dustin finally comes in and clears house, then it pays off and it's great. And Dustin totally got on board with that. But going back to what happened last time, is that showing too much personality for a referee? Is that showing too much non-robotness of a referee? Like a referee should just be impartial in the background, blending in. If I'm standing there yelling at a guy, that's me putting the spotlight on me at a time where I might not should be. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to walk that line and treat it like a WWE show. That's the advice I got last at the first show was treat it like it's a big time show, whether it is or whether it isn't, which is easier said than done. Because if the crowd is silent and they're not saying anything, and I've got to yell at this guy because he's trying to get in the ring, I can't just pantomime it. I've got to say something, and I've got to say it with some personality behind it. So trying to walk that line and figure out how to do that, I'm still working on that.
Did you you said there was one other ref on the show. Do you have like an expectation of what you think you should be doing on the show because you were a ref for such a long time, or are you thinking that you are like back at square one and learning all over again, or is it somewhere in the middle?
It's probably in the middle, closer to me knowing what I'm doing and still being angry that other refs don't. Which it might be warranted, might not be. The other ref has been in the business. The problem that I have with a lot of referees out there is they're just in it to get into wrestling and they want to be wrestlers, which is fine. But that means that their passion is not, and I mean, I don't blame them, but their passion is not refereeing. So they don't put a ton of effort into it. They don't put a ton of thought, a ton of effort, really, into being a referee, and they don't put a ton of thought into their actions. And when that happens, it shows. You know what I mean? They're getting in the way. Their mannerisms come off like a guy who's playing a referee and not a real referee. Versus me, I'm playing a referee. Like I'm throwing myself into the role of a referee. I'm getting angry when you're not following my rules that I've reminded you of. I've told you 3 times, Dustin, stay in your corner until you're tagged. If you can't do that, I'm going to throw you out of there. It's that kind of passion that they don't have. That they aren't able to disconnect from themselves and the role of the referee, where I am. I'm able to dive into that referee role. And I do think the history of being a teacher and getting annoyed at little kids does apply to what I'm doing. So I do get annoyed, and I don't point it out to other referees. I don't think I'm at that point. I make sure not to tell other guys how to do their job, whether I agree with it or not. But there are definitely a lot of times on shows like this where I don't agree with the choices that the other refs are making.
Cool. And then the last question I have for you: do you now carry an extra pair of pants?
I thought about it. I only have my workout pants, so it's a pair of like Adidas pants. So if something happened, what I would do if I had the tear in the knee, like I talked about last week, I would go to the back. I would put those on. I'd put my ref pants over them, so it would just look all black, with the, you know what I mean, so you couldn't see the stripes. And I just sweat until the end of the show.
All right, good stuff. I do like how you have Joel Gertner there. I just noticed that you added him to the
we talked about him briefly last week.
Yeah, it makes sense. I thought it was random at first, and then I was like, no, he was in the figures that we talked about. So.
That's right. That's right.
The next week, are we starting on the other side?
I was going to ask you about that. That was probably going to be my bidder, actually. I don't know what to do.
Or to fill up that one side?
Yeah, do I start filling up the right-hand side, or do I continue the line on the left-hand side?
That is
I don't know yet.
Great question.
Right, asking the big questions, right?
All right, well, let's talk a little bit of AEW. And I say it's a little bit, but I have a lot of notes here, but we don't have to go through everything here. AEW stuff went on sale. We've talked about the tickets going on sale for the show that they're having here at the Now Arena, formerly known as the Sears Center in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. It is, they're doing a Wednesday show, they're doing a Friday show, they're doing a Sunday show. The Sunday show, the pay-per-view, all out, sold out.
Okay.
On Wednesday, I got an email for pre-sale for Thursday. And then tickets to the general public was on Friday.
Okay.
On Thursday, they sold 9,000 something tickets.
Whoa. On
Friday, they sold out the remaining 2,000 tickets. So that is sold out. So while I was looking to see, like, I wanted to see if I could find prices or anything like that. And I really wasn't planning on sitting trying to buy tickets.
Beforehand, you're trying to do it before the tickets are released. You're just trying to figure out how much they're going to be.
Yeah, I just wanted to see like how much it would cost. Like I honestly didn't think I was going to be trying to get these tickets anyway. But I came across something on their website, and it's not their website. They sell tickets through Ticketmaster.
Okay.
And it says this: ticket prices may fluctuate based on demand at any time.
I've heard that Ticketmaster is doing this. Yeah.
Wow, that's
crazy.
I mean, when I say dumbest, I don't mean on Ticketmaster's end. I mean just like what is this?
Agreed. Yes. How can you do that? How is that? How are you okay with doing this, Ticketmaster?
And so I checked yesterday just to see if there were individual tickets left for any of the events. And All Out has 2 tickets left. And they are both on the floor. So they're not technically sold out because they have 2 tickets left.
Okay.
Each ticket is $2,700, and they're not even together, by the way.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so based on.
So you didn't even try. I thought you and Putski were going to this. You didn't even try to get tickets.
No. I mean, like we talked about going. If Putski's listening, we will be going. If he still wants to go after listening to this katastrofa, which is Serbian for catastrophe. But I don't know. So anyway, I searched for tickets, right? Those are the tickets available for Sunday. I found for Dynamite on Wednesday, last row tickets, complete last row in the entire building in the corner, like the worst seats that you can have. They're $35 plus fees, so you're probably paying $50 a ticket. I did find in the 100 level, there's like $75 to $80 a piece tickets, which is...
That's not bad.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what we would go after if we were going to get tickets. If Putski, if you still want to go, let me know. If anybody listening wants to go with us, let me know. Honestly, what I would prefer to do is I would much rather go to GCW's 3 Cup Stuff, which is, I believe, on that Friday. So instead of AEW, go to that on Friday. GCW is then having a show on Saturday, which I think might be Cardona versus Nick Gage, because I've heard they've been pushing it back. I don't think they set the date for it yet.
Yeah, I don't think they've announced it either.
So that might be cool to go to.
So that's going to be in Chicago, you think?
I think that's where it's going to end up.
That's crazy. Okay.
And by the way, for $80, we can get into like all 4 tickets of the 4 shows that they are doing on Friday and Saturday with GCW and Black Label and Freelance Wrestling. So
Those are a good time. Who went with us last time at the midnight show?
it was me, you, and Putski, but our dear friend Gunther Watts was there, and I know he's going to be there again because he's a GCW guy.
Oh, sure. Goggles and everything. He'll be ready to go.
Oh yeah, I already talked to him. He's planning on going. So, I mean, anybody wants to go to that stuff too. Like, I would much rather go to that. But
what is the date on those shows? Do you know? Is
first,
that the one I'm out of town?
Yeah, first week of September. So whatever the, I want to say,
September like 4th or something.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So if anybody wants to go to AEW, I think the Dynamite show might be our best bet. And then I have to miss an open mic, which that's a tragedy. But I'll tell jokes like at AEW in between matches.
There you go. I will say I'm booked for St. Louis that weekend for a video game show, but it is not official yet. I haven't paid anything for it. I don't think they've officially announced it yet. We've got potential that I might be able to attend that one.
Oh, I'm gonna make a phone call to St. Louis.
Hello, St. Louis.
And then AEW last week, the television show Dynamite. You didn't happen to catch any of it, did you?
No, sir. I mean, I might have caught clips on Reddit or something.
Okay. Full crowds, and honestly, it was like so nice to see. And they don't do it the WWE way where you're 20 feet away from the ring, even if you're in the front row. And then you're behind a large black box that you can't see. And then every time you stand up to see over the box, the security yells at you to sit down because people behind you can't see. But I don't care about the people behind me because I paid a lot of money for these seats. They don't do that at AEW. Everybody's just on top of each other. And say what you will, but it's just like the atmosphere at AEW shows is fantastic. And it was really nice to see it back. They did the lights out gimmick. I totally thought Sabu was going to be there.
Yeah.
And it was quite a big surprise. It was Aleister Black, now known...
Oh, I did see that. Okay.
Yeah, now known as Malachi Black, I want to say is what they called him.
Yeah.
He attacked Arn Anderson and Cody Rhodes. So immediately I bought 55 of his T-shirts. I love everything about that.
Now, do you think they held this debut off? Or I guess they couldn't have. I don't know what the dates lined up with. I know that he had a 30-day no compete versus the 90-day. Do you think if they had the opportunity to debut him the week before in front of no one with no fans, would they have held that off to get that reaction in front of people?
I would think they would. I mean, I would.
Yeah, it would make sense, right?
Yeah, and but the thing about the 30-day is insane. In a billion-dollar company, from the time he went from NXT, like his contract at NXT, which was they generally have 30-day no competes. Then he got moved up to the main roster, where he was for a long time, including the last 7 months where he didn't even wrestle at all.
Right.
And it's supposed to switch over to a 90-day non-compete, but they forgot. Somebody messed up somewhere. Somebody got fired, right?
I don't know. I honestly don't know how much of a difference it makes between 30 days and 90 days as far as the impact that Aleister Black would have.
I don't think of the impact, but I think the embarrassment of letting something like that slip.
Okay, yeah, that's more of a bigger deal. I agree with you.
Yeah, so, I mean, good for AEW. That lined up really nicely with them. The 90-day contract for the last group of people who were fired by the WWE, I want to say is the week before All Out. So, like, All Out is probably going to have somebody.
A handful, yeah.
Maybe Bud Strongman or whatever his name is. But yeah, so anyway, I thought that was really interesting. I love that it happened with the crowd with him. The whole show seemed to be pretty good.
How was did you watch the full show?
I did, yeah.
How was the opening of the show? Like, did they blow the roof off?
I don't remember, but like I couldn't.
I don't like that.
No, I mean, like,
the fact that you don't remember says a lot, right?
No, it's because I don't really like. I'll start watching it on DVR and then I'll walk out of the room to like go get something to drink and come back, or like it's not like I'm sitting there watching. I couldn't even tell you what the first match was. I feel like it was a tag match or something, but I do know like the stuff that happened throughout the show. I was kind of excited for while it was happening. There was even like a garbage, I don't know, hardcore match, whatever you want to call it, towards the end with like the Young Bucks versus Eddie Kingston and Penta, and just like everything. it looks so much better with a live crowd there. It is so nice to like have that back.
Yeah, wrestling with a live crowd is obviously better. Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, the COVID numbers are coming back in all of those shitty places that aren't vaccinating. But maybe whatever. I don't care about that. The rumor coming that just came back because the WWE took this guy out of their upcoming video games, and something else happened with him as well. Somebody leaked from AEW that there's a bigger name coming than Andrade or Aleister Black. And a lot of people are thinking it is Daniel Bryan, who is not on a contract. Do you think that would be the biggest name thus far if Daniel Bryan actually jumped?
Thus far, yeah. I mean, what's bigger? Who is even up for contention? The
Matt Cardona,
Mark Henry, the Big Show.
Matt Cardona.
Okay, keep talking, yeah.
Smart Mark Sterling.
Right. Who else was there? Christian, Big Show, Mark Henry.
Yeah, and none of those guys like really jumped. Like they're retired, whatever. Like Sting, same thing. Like,
Sting was Sting was the biggest surprise. No, I think Daniel Bryan by far would be the biggest get they can get.
It's weird because a guy like Aleister Black comes in, and even a guy like Daniel Bryan, and we keep saying like, oh, too many WWE guys going over, but not these guys. Like these are the guys that you would expect.
To prosper in that environment.
Whereas there's other guys where you're like, what's going on over here? And then I think this is the last thing I want to talk about AEW, and then we'll move on. Last week, someone tried running into the ring during the MJF and Chris Jericho segment.
Yeah.
And that specific someone was a fan of the Jim Cornette experience and whatever, Jim Cornette in general.
Yeah.
Who tweeted afterwards at Cornette, "How did you like my AEW debut? I did this for all of us real wrestling fans. Wrestling is no longer a safe space for friends to dance around and play dress up. Reality can hit at any time. Did they think this is going to be effing playtime forever?" To which Jim Cornette responded, "Got news for you, dipshit. The ring is sacred ground for us. And even if you and a lot of others think you can kick the shit out of the Young Bucks, I would have turned you into a tennis racket popsicle, and you're lucky someone there didn't gut you like a fish. Also, you're blocked." And I'm very glad that Jim Cornette said that instead of leaving it alone and not saying anything at all, or worst possible scenario being like, yeah, you should have got him, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of talk about this. I saw a handful of people like blaming Cornette for this. I saw people comparing him to other political people and the drawing similarities that way. I don't agree with any of that.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think Cornette cannot be held accountable for who listens to his podcast and the brain cells that they may or may not have. It could have been terrible. I don't think Jericho should have reacted the way that Jericho reacted. I don't think Jericho needed to go after the guy, old school ways, and try to beat the shit out of the guy. I'd let the security do it. You have security. We're in 2021. We're not in 1999 anymore. If somebody tries to ruin the show, then let the guys who are in charge of... Now, that said, I will go say this, in Jericho's defense, security didn't seem too concerned that the guy was up on the ramp.
Yeah, I was going to say, from the view that I saw, which was like behind Jericho, it was like the guy was almost fighting through the security.
Yes.
And Jericho just saw him get to a certain point and kind of helped him out. So
I'd agree with that. Yeah. Even so, I would still like to think that security would do their job, but I agree. The fault probably, once the guy gets on the ramp, the fault did fall on the security guard for not taking it as seriously. If that was Atlas, we don't have this problem. If that was even if that was like old WWE security guys, like we don't have that problem. They just get taken out.
Well, and that's weird because AEW does hire Atlas, so I wonder.
It didn't look like Atlas was there today.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's obviously I don't agree with it. I think it was a stupid move on the fans' part, and I don't know. I think they handled it as best they could.
What happens? Someone comes into the ring and you're reffing a match. What do you do?
As the ref, and there's especially on an indie show, like I literally have to do my best to get the guy out of the ring, to prevent him from getting to the wrestlers, to getting like. I can't rely on the guys to take focus off the fight that they're having. As the referee, I need to stall him as much as I can until I get backup from the ring crew or the announcer or whatever it is.
Have you ever had to do anything like that?
No, never. It's not that I remember. I don't think we've ever had an instant where either I had to get involved or not. I don't think we've ever had an instance where somebody was trying to get in the ring.
And when's your next show?
I don't know. The next one right now isn't until October, I think.
I'm gonna make a call.
Oh, you're gonna be the one that jumps in the ring?
No, not me. That's who I'm gonna call. I'm
okay.
not gonna call anybody. Maybe text somebody. Anyway.
All right. So I'll keep you updated. The next shows I'll let you know, and then you can make whatever calls you want to do.
Rest in peace, Paul Orndorff. How about that?
Yeah, that sucks.
I do not remember much about Paul Orndorff, to be honest.
Agreed.
Especially the WWF version of him. I remember him mostly as a WCW guy. I know like some stuff about him from WWF. Like I knew he was injured while doing a program with Hogan. And then he didn't want to like get checked out because then he's going to lose a bunch of money. And then that in the end basically cut his career short. I think I learned that from a Jim Cornette podcast though. So it's not like I knew too much about Paul Orndorff, but I did like start reading a little bit about him. And I was kind of like, like reminded about some stuff or I guess I saw some stuff that I didn't know. He was in WCW through the end, like 2001.
Really? I didn't know that either. No. What was he doing?
Eventually
As a worker?
Yeah, he was working. He hurt himself in a match.
Wow.
And then started training at the power plant. And then him, Terry Funk, Arn Anderson, and Larry Zbyszko feuded with the last version of the NWO, and they were known as the Old Age Outlaws. Now, either Wikipedia was hacked or this happened. But, like, I do not remember that at all. I must not have been watching by that point.
Who was watching Nitro? Was Primetime watching at that point? Can you confirm this?
I may have these tapes in my garage thanks to Bishop, but I don't know. But anyway, Paul Orndorff, 2005 WWE Hall of Fame member, wrestled his last match in 2017, which is insane. He was 67 years old, and it was a 6-man tag in Canada. 2 months ago, his son posted like a video of him, and he was in really bad shape. A lot of like wrestlers and announcers reached out trying to get the son to take it off because it showed him, I guess, in a really bad light. I don't know if dementia was confirmed, but I feel like a lot of people think that that's what was going on with him. And so I don't know that the son ever did take that stuff off, but he wanted people to basically see how he was because he blames the wrestling business and like CTE for how Paul Orndorff ended up. He was in the WWE lawsuit, CTE lawsuit or whatever that was dismissed like a year ago or whatever. But yeah, any memories for you from Paul Orndorff? Like, I mean, I know the figures. I know I've seen him and stuff like that, but I don't have anything that jumps out from Paul Orndorff.
No, I'm the same way. Like, I mean, I've gone over my past previously. I didn't have a lot of Hulkamania era wrestling experience. It wasn't until like the early 90s, late 80s that I got into it, and Orndorff wasn't a big part of that. No, I have very few memories of Paul Orndorff, and you're probably right. The majority of them are probably just WCW stuff.
It is. There's a lot of stuff on Twitter being shared now that he passed, and you get to see a lot of cool stuff that he did. And there's a big clip going around. I've seen it a bunch of times now of him doing. It was like the Road Dogg Jesse James where he bounces off the ropes and like does the dance or whatever. Oh, yeah. Except it's Paul Orndorff, so it's
that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You know, the one memory I have of watching Orndorff stuff is when I was tape trading with Ivica and 50 other guys back on the internet of 1998, 1999. I got into a kick of trading for some Saturday Night's Main Event. And that was the first time that I'd seen the Hogan Orndorff feud. I think the Pile Driver was on there. So that's really when my first experience to Orndorff, like vintage Orndorff. That's my first experience with it, was the tape trading in the mid 90s.
And Bishop chimes in and he says, yes, the Old Age Outlaws did happen. And King of Art Justin Tuttle chimes in. He says, Orndorff wearing flip-flops knocking out Vader is one of the most badass stories a man can have. I don't know that story, so
Also don't know
that
that
will
story.
be coming up next week. I will find out what that is all about. Let's do some emails. We have emails here from from the 4th of July.
Wow.
So our dear friend Dawkins Kruger up in Washington actually sent us 2 emails. The first one got me a little bit worried about him. He recently had his second child. I believe he moved into a new house. I don't know what's going on up there, but he basically sent us an email that just says, I don't know who to send this to, but it must be seen, and it is glorious. And it is a link to a Saks Fifth Avenue clutch. Is that what you call that?
You're asking the wrong guy. I have no idea.
I believe a clutch is like a purse that you like clutch in your hands, and a purse is something that you like
let dangle
purse on your shoulder or something.
Purse. Okay, there you go. But this is not just any clutch. This is a $6,000 pizza clutch.
Yeah. And
yeah, I'm also concerned about Dawkins Kruger. I don't understand what this is. I don't understand how he would have come across this. I don't understand.
I appreciate it. I do believe it is glorious. My wife loves pizza. She would absolutely love this thing. And
it's got meat on it, bro.
And our 5-year anniversary is in like 2 weeks. And she used to eat pepperoni. We're going to be eating meat pretty soon here. I think we're.
Oh yeah, keep us updated on this.
Yeah, I think we're both coming back. Send in what meat I should have. Send in your requests here. What is the first meat that I should eat when I come back to eating meat? It's been 5 years I haven't eaten meat. It's unbelievable, and I'm still a fat piece of trash. And
the answer is chavap, right?
I mean, yeah, but give me something meatier. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You see what I did there? Anyway, Dawkins Kruger also sent in a second email, and this one made me feel a little bit better. He said, is there an actual WWE Hall of Fame like the NFL's in Canton or NHL's in Toronto? Your mentioning of the WWE warehouse got me wondering why those items aren't on display at a fee-charging venue. Do they just do the Hall of Fame inductions in some random ballroom every year? And that answer is yeah, pretty much. One of the earlier ones they did when Bret Hart, I know we have some Bret Hart fans in the chat room over here. When he was inducted, it was in Chicago. The WrestleMania was in Chicago, and I believe it was at the Rosemont Theater where they did the introductions or whatever. I could be totally wrong on that, but don't check that out and don't send me an email about it. But yeah, so it has just been like a completely random thing every year. There is no building, although the rumors have been around forever. I did find something from April. This is a interview with Triple H, so I will read it to you, and you will get your answer directly here. It says, a report popped up last week via the Wrestling Observer regarding why the WWE doesn't have a physical Hall of Fame, despite the honor being around since 1993. Vince McMahon believes it would be a waste of money. There's your answer.
That is interesting. I can't agree with that. Do you agree with that?
Well, I understand where he's coming from, because, like, what are you going to go to it twice? And I think Triple H does a good job of explaining how he would do it differently, or I should say how he'll do it when Vince dies.
The Baseball Hall of Fame has to be financially successful, right?
I don't know.
Is the Baseball Hall of Fame is
baseball successful? Who watches baseball besides Dawkins Kruger?
Example, right?
But anyway, Triple H was asked about the topic of building a Hall of Fame in a new interview with the Cheap Heat podcast, and seemed to echo the financial drain a building would have, but then went into details about what features.
A building?
What?
They're concerned about a building?
They don't have a lot of money. They're cutting people left and right. He talked about the features he wanted to put if they had a Hall of Fame. He says it's definitely something we've contemplated.
You get to sit in Bret Hart's wheelchair.
It has to be done right. It's funny. People go, that would be fascinating to go see somebody's old trunks. Hall of Fames like that, physical Hall of Fames and museums like that tend to be money pits and do not do well because people over time lose interest. You need to make it something more. And I think if it was interactive with technology the way that it is now, there are these objects and things that people can see and be wowed by, but also there's reasons to keep going back. I'm of the opinion that that needs to be more than a thing that you can go to just one time. That was neat. I saw some boots, but more of you have got to go see this. I was there. There's a virtual this. There's a 3D that. There's technology that takes you to another level like Disney, where you go see these incredible things, but also have these mind-blowing experiences around WWE and can spend the day there. You can meet legends. You can go to Q&As. Maybe it's part of our developmental where there are matches happening. There's a lot of thought being put into it and put around it.
Triple H does not want a Hall of Fame. He wants a theme park.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's like a miniature theme park where there are no other, like, there's no Batman. There's no, like, nothing to take away from wrestling, you know?
Yeah, right.
So basically what I read into this is when Vince dies, Triple H is going to have a Hall of Fame.
There you go.
I do want to ask you, though, what happens? Vince McMahon doesn't sell, right? What happens if, like, he just goes crazy and gives all of his stock to Swoggle or somebody?
Sure.
Like, how great would that be? Who would you like to see Vince McMahon give his stock to?
Oh, is Rene Dupree an option?
Oh, do we have the... Can we play the clip?
Yeah, I could pull that up.
Put that over Tony's... Okay, yeah, excellent. Beautiful. Thank you.
I should have just had this going the whole time.
I agree. Yeah, that's how we do things. Last email. This one comes from our dear friend Hattori Hanzo, also in the chat. Thank you, Hattori Hanzo, as always. This was Happy Birthday America, sent to us on Sunday, July 4th at 3:50 p.m. Coming at you live from the studio apartment, just like Colt Cabana. Unlike Colt Cabana, however, I am half dressed wearing my brand new Too Small Bitter Marks t-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees.
Oh, no.
Your number one source for t-shirts that are overpriced, too small, and take too long to ship despite the packaging that says 1 hour tees. But as they say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Being half dressed made me suitable for shopping for wrestling figures at Walmart. Nothing says America more than buying wrestling figures at Walmart while half dressed. It would only be better if I was in Florida and I could work both gators and bath salts into this equation. Hattori Hanzo, your shirt is on the way. I have fixed the situation, and you will be getting a shirt. That being said, I don't know when you're going to get it. It is 1 hour tees. I wish you the best of luck. But don't worry, it's coming, and that's about it. Anything else, Peewee?
No, I think we covered it. I know I teased the story that I was going to tell this week. I think we got to save that for next week when Tony's back.
What's a tomahawk steak?
It's a brand. It's like a very nice brand of steak.
Oh, okay.
That's in the chat if you're listening to the audio version. He's not getting sidetracked. I mean, he is getting sidetracked, but for a reason.
Well, two people also write chevops as the meat that I need to eat. So I guess chevops is in the lead. Tomahawk steak bringing up the rear.
Get your votes in now.
But that's it for the show this week. Next week on the show, we have prediction updates because there's two events this week. There's an Impact show and WWE show. Peewee, I sent you a link for 50% off Ricochet t-shirts. I'm sure you hopped on that for the rest of your family, right?
When did you do that? Oh, maybe you did. Sure. Yeah, I'll say they're in the mail.
Unbelievable. Next week, find out what happened with Paul Orndorff wearing flip-flops and musical guest Asa Bass. What's making me bitter this week is nothing wrestling related at all. I did not watch Raw or SmackDown this week, and I deleted them from my DVR. So I will not be watching Raw or SmackDown for the first time in who knows how long. Wow. And honestly, I've never felt better about it because I'm done. I am done with the current WWE Raw and SmackDown product. I'm still going to watch NXT, still going to watch AEW, but what a horrible time for Bobby Lashley to be champion. That makes me bitter. Like the worst time in wrestling history to be the champion. Anyway, Raw from 1993. Adam Bomb and Diesel just debuted. Marty Jannetty just won the Intercontinental title. Beautiful. Look at that man. Unbelievable. And the 1-2-3 kid just beat Razor Ramon as well. So how can I be bitter possibly this week? Peewee, what's making you bitter?
I've been trying to think this entire episode of what I can be bitter about this week. I don't have a ton. I'm very thankful for the opportunities I've been given wrestling-wise. I've been thankful for the referee opportunities, even just meeting Braun Strowman. Thankful for that. I'm thankful for my Val Venus 8x10 signed to Mark Bitters. Thankful for a lot of stuff. I legitimately can't think of a bitter this week.
And you know what that means. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, I forgot. Oh,
Peewee has to cut a promo.
I woke up at 5:45 this morning, and I've been sick all day. I'm not in the mood to cut a promo.
I need 2 nouns from the YouTube chat room. 2 things that Peewee needs.
They're throwing it up to the YouTube chat.
The first 2 nouns that come through, and Peewee needs to cut a promo on both of these things. Producer Tony's going to be so pissed. He's going to be so pissed that he missed this.
I don't like this.
Well, let's see if anybody knows what a noun is.
Yeah, can we get a countdown going?
If we don't get 2 nouns in 1 hour, then you don't have to do this. All right, Chevapi is the first one. Hattori Hanzo chimes in.
Fantastic.
Chevapi, I need more. I need 1 more. Taco. Okay, let's do this, Peewee. Taco, Chevapi.
2 foods?
Hey. You do your thing.
I'm telling you, I'm not feeling it today. I'm feeling sick. I just see that Stephen Connor got thrown in.
You can do the option. All right.
No, I'll take the safe route and take Chev-ups and tacos. How dare you? How dare you, Paul Orndorff? I've spent my entire life barely knowing who you are. Then you get a figure released of yourself in the past year. I kind of get interested in who you are. I start doing some research. That's not true. I start getting a little interested. Maybe I YouTube some content. Maybe I start looking up some old memories of you pile driving Hogan on Saturday Night's Main Event. Maybe I do all that, but maybe I don't. Maybe I stay home. Maybe I eat some chabops. Maybe I eat some tacos. And maybe I spend some time with Stephen Connor, bonus points. And I lost my train of thought. Now I have no motivation to do any of this. You're gone. That's all. I'm done. I literally feel like I'm going to puke.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/bittermarks. New episodes drop every Friday morning at bittermarks.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at bittermarks. Email us bittermarks@gmail.com. And last but not least, buy our shirts, unless you are Hattori Hanzo, prowrestlingtees.com/bittermarkscom. That's COM as in Marty Jannetty, Intercontinental Champion. Peewee, it's been fun. Smooth Babies in the chat, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you guys next week.
This worked last week. Let me try it again this week. Guys, if you stayed for the entire show, please throw a like on this video and then subscribe to the channel. The likes, honestly, really, I know everybody says this on YouTube, but it really, really does help us. Please like this video if you listened and enjoyed anything that you heard in the past hour and 10 minutes. Thank you guys very much. Flip that turkey. What show are we on?
Bye.